for FaZe.
They've started the season. They wrote that first chapter in the North America Open and Fall Regional 1 with the first place finish. They have an opportunity here to close the chapter on the regular season here in North America with a win over G2. But of course, we know what G2 is. We've seen them here in this split in particular, of course, in the winter as well. This is going to be a very much a close series as we got yesterday, James.
And already first killer opening up the scoring 5 seconds in. A nice rollback to him. And you see JKnaps in a tough situation. AJ even getting a light bump on JKnaps.
Yeah, he actually got up and over JKnaps. JKnaps, I think, jumped into him, and that was what prevented him from getting the shot. And a fantastic start for FaZe. This is something that they needed, especially in their first game yesterday, where it felt like G2 had full control right off the rip. FaZe, though, I think it's a bit of a different beast here today, definitely finding peak form. See if they can hold on to it here in this series.
And on that play, first killer getting the flip reset. He knew if he shot that ball right away, JKnaps would have been able to get the save. FaZe again, lobbing one towards net. First killer, the tip, backboard bounce. AJ's shot will be high. First killer will keep this ball tipped up in front of net. Another shot opportunity. It's a light bouncer, and Atomic will sweep that off the line.
And FaZe are very happy with putting more and more shots on target, above the net, wide of the net, just as long as it makes it scary for G2. Now G2 on the counterattack trying to find something. Chicago knew he'd go straight into AJ on that one, and now first killer, a bit of boost. But with 2 defenders there from G2, they'll shut him down and try and get out. Still AJ making it tough for G2. As you can see, FaZe, they're getting great touches on this ball. And again, as we just mentioned, making it tough for G2. Now Atomic downfield. He's there again, and G2 able to tie it up.
FaZe went all out on that swarm, Corelli. You can see him all low on boost, trying to get back. Typical getting back as quickly as he could, but G2 spreading out, recognizing that overcommit from FaZe. And we are all tied up. Strong start, though, from FaZe, but that just goes to show you how quickly G2 can turn it on you.
And on that goal, I mean, that was something that Atomic did in the last series so much. Now JKnaps going to get one off the kickoff. We're not even going to be able to talk about it. Another goal goes in for G2, and they're up by 1.
And Typical caught out in no man's land, deciding to stop and jump for it, but Chicago and JKnaps, they were both too fast on the play. And G2, despite what seemed like a slower start, have now scored back-to-back goals, prying the lead away from FaZe.
Maybe not for long. AJ's going to slip it under.
You saw the defender creeping on net on the post. Atomic right there. But AJ takes advantage of that bump from Chicago, or on Chicago.
What a smart shot from AJ, just to put that one on the ground, because that's really the hardest part for anyone on the back wall or above the net to get to. That's a very easy save to mess up, especially if you want to use your flip. And Atomic, he was in such a tough spot, that near post shot. He was really just playing for one in the midsection of the net. At least that's where the way he was positioned. And AJ knew that he could slip it under there. That's a great response from FaZe.
Another low shot, but this time it doesn't beat Atomic. And we've seen both goals now from FaZe. Corelli having a bump be a factor in the play both times, clearing that path for the shot. And now Chicago, backboard bounce.
Up.
Atomic light hit, crossbar down. G2 back in the lead.
Just getting over that one is Atomic. What a flip reset from JKnaps. And quickly, you can see how fast Chicago's up for that one, and Atomic there to clean it up. And that play just happened so quick. FaZe, the second they didn't get to the first man there on the ball, and JKnaps, it was over. G2, they knew exactly what was happening.
In the last match, G2 didn't find a way to score more than 2 goals in a single game against FaZe, and now 3 goals. We're not even halfway through. This one, a high-scoring affair, almost another goal, but that time Atomic able to block it.
G2 definitely had more success locking down FaZe in the previous matchup yesterday. Today, though, you're seeing the pace of play. FaZe all over G2. That one just wide from Typical. Still FaZe trying to hold on to possession. First killer wants to take it himself. He's a bit high, dropping it down. And still G2 able to get those touches, even inside their own box, to turn away FaZe.
Backboard pass. JKnaps this time blocking it out. Light shot. Chicago making the save. And moments before, we also saw Chicago bodying off the attacker from FaZe. G2 trying to deal with this immense pressure from FaZe. Now, shot opportunity. Light shot. Saved from AJ. Now FaZe find themselves battling on the goal line. A light tip from First Killer will send this to the FaZe corner. Typical taking over.
It's 14 shots to 5. FaZe with now 15, as they have just peppered the G2 side. Still down by 1 here, as maybe JNaps and Atomic both go. JNaps, oh, he lands on top of it.
Oh.
Just how you draw it up.
No, if you're drawing up plays like this, you might be illiterate. I don't know. I don't understand how JNaps was able to make that work.
I don't know either. I have no idea. It worked out perfectly because honestly, it looked like a mistake at that point. 2 players went for the same ball, and it was a tough angle to hit. And I don't think FaZe even expected that. Now JNaps again. Able to poke it away. Can he put it away himself? Near post try.
And I guess, Curl, you don't really need to know how to write in anything other than pictures when you're drawing it up. So, I guess it works out perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to be literate.
It's all subjective. That's what art is, right?
And if that play was certainly a work of modern art. First Killer, high lob. Typical light touch. First Killer keeping this ball in play. It's above Typical.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know what we're witnessing, but it's working for FaZe and G2.
There's a little bit of mind game happening here. I think Typical struggled to get a hold of this one, but it might have
gone for the bump.
AJ instead comes through with the shot, and I think G2 didn't really know how to react with Typical coming at them. It was a very tough situation for the defenders.
I think what Typical was doing was trying to get Airborne to block off the path for JNaps to make sure JNaps couldn't even jump for that ball.
Yeah, and it worked out nicely because all the defenders, they didn't want to challenge. They saw what was happening.
And FaZe, despite getting bit early with the overcommits, not afraid to turn and make touches like that. A crazy touch from First Killer to set that up. Now First Killer, another touch on the ball. AJ will get Airborne. Trying to keep this ball locked down. First Killer bumping JNaps. Chicago down the sideline. JNaps with a demo. He's hunting First Killer as well. First Killer being chased by Chicago. Bumped off the ball. There's a 50. AJ with a pop.
Dangerous there from FaZe as that one pinches over the G2 net. Now JNaps, that's a quick shot on target, and First Killer will turn it away. G2 trying to put the dagger in game 1 here. It goes across the FaZe side. FaZe scrambling to get it out, but they've done well here from Typical. And he looks for a dunk. 10 seconds left, FaZe. They've got to go now here in game 1.
Atomic booming it downfield. We'll give a chance for Typical to keep it airborne, but Chicago knocking it right back down despite the fast start for FaZe, slow start for G2. G2 picking up the pace, catching FaZe Clan out on a counterattack, and ultimately getting the win. FaZe Clan, Corelli, I thought they started strong, but started to let off the gas.
Well, and I don't even think it was really that slow of a start from G2. I think FaZe was just playing out of their minds there for the first minute or so, and I think things started to even out because both teams, as you said, really picked up the pace, and we're going at a crazy speed here. So many creative shots, so many creative plays, whether they drew it up or not. You see the JNaps landing on top of that one. That's fine. For G2, I think that this was a great game to kind of get adjusted to the FaZe pace of play, because we saw, and you could see it in the stats, 19 shots from FaZe here in game 1, but really 3 goals to only show for it. I mean, 3 goals normally is really good, but when you have that many chances, you feel like FaZe should have put more, at least on target, to score more goals.
Certainly, and you said it, 3 goals not bad, especially in an RLCS matchup. Generally, that scoreline can get you the win. Like I said, G2 only managed to score at most 2 goals in their last 7-game series against FaZe. So G2 finding their offense, finding ways to get past FaZe in ways that they weren't able to before. And it's a long road ahead for G2. Not only are they going to have to take down FaZe Clan in this best of 7, they'll have to do it again, unless FaZe can turn it up and end the series right here and right now, and also end the spring split in terms of the regionals.
Yeah, final game of the regular season here in North America, or possibly final series. We might get one more. G2, they would be the team to do it with the way they've been playing so far in the spring split, looking to sweep the split and win every single one. The FaZe certainly is a worthy contender so far. Already have taken a series off of G2 earlier in the bracket. And they have looked even better here today, at least through game 1. I think the first series we saw yesterday, James, it was a little shaky from FaZe. Big mistakes, big blunders. right now in game 1 and even in this first minute of game 2, very much in control.
So it seems. See the pass coming out. JNAP's barely keeping that away, but despite being in control, we've seen how quickly G2 can get the ball on the other side of the field and take a shot on target. Chicago speed flipping to it. Low shot. AJ blocking out that portion of the net. We see JNAP's take out Typical, but first killer on the job. First pop broken up by Atomic. Now kicking off the sidewall. Chicago light lob over to Atomic. Atomic back to Chicago. Chicago. What hits the elbow? It's going out. And AJ blasts it back into FaZe's net.
Oh my goodness. What a pass from Atomic though to Chicago, and then coming off the elbow, as you said, AJ, I mean, he's just trying to react. What can he do? Didn't expect to bounce like that, but the setup from G2 was just so beautiful. It's so many times you've seen Atomic be point man and setting up his teammates, dishing it off, whether it's off the ceiling, back passing, or even just popping it up there back towards Chicago. Really a big playmaker here for G2, and it's paid off in another goal.
It's where big brains and brawny mechanics meet. That's Atomic. Typical hitting it off to the corner. AJ delaying. Musty flick towards net. Blocked by JNAPS. The tap from First Killer. First Killer having to bail out. 0 boost. Typical. First touch will set up the air dribble 50 attempt, which pops high in front of G2's net. First Killer flip reset potentially. Going for the bump on Atomic. But Atomic having none of it.
Still tense here for FaZe. They've had a couple tries here. That one comes across the box. G2 able to get out space here. And now First Killer relied on for FaZe to get out, and still look at the space given to G2. Atomic was pre-jumping.
But it was a low pass as well. So that play didn't work out, but still G2 on the hunt. And it's JNAPS, the hunter from the bushes, sniping out another goal for G2.
I feel like in the last 2 splits, JNAPS has gotten twice as good. Like, the way he's been playing, these double taps off the back wall, the clutch, the ice that he's had is insane.
That is the true art. seeing him fly through the air so gracefully, utilizing air roll so beautifully, but as I say it, First Killer gonna get him a scrappy goal here. Atomic trying to touch it out. Ended up setting up First Killer for that shot.
Oh, Chicago had full trust in that challenge from Atomic. And of course, JNAPS, there was no angle for him to really get that one out of the net. But great touch there from First Killer. Again, that's really been the MO here for FaZe, is to keep it as awkward as possible on the G2 side. And you're seeing there from AJ getting a crazy flip reset as he popped it up into the sky, because we know how good the G2 defense has been. That's what we've been talking about all this regional, even the previous one. And you do have to be creative. You have to come up with something different if you want to break down G2.
And we saw a bit of that different gameplay at the start of game 1, but game 2, FaZe playing a lot more defense than I think they expected. And there's a demo from Atomic on the back check. Now Chicago with the 50 in FaZe's corner. Typical out of boost. AJ will have to clear downfield, does so. But Atomic is going to back pass. Not the best pass again. Now in front of net. JNAP's slowing things down. Looked like he might have gotten faked there for a moment, but was able to recover.
Yeah, that was actually a great challenge there by AJ. Didn't want to actually get too much contact. Now look at this pass to Typical from AJ. My goodness, in the midfield, dropping it off, and we're tied up.
Oh, that was a nice play from AJ. You see him streaking back. I don't think they saw him at all. I don't think that Chicago knew AJ was even there. Getting that drop down pass to Typical. That is the type of hustle it's going to take to beat G2 when they're playing this well.
It doesn't get any more perfect than that. A pass like that straight in the face of Typical with an open net in front of him. That's being scored every single time, and perfect timing here from FaZe. As they tied things up, we've got a minute left on the clock.
Atomic, again, so aggressive on the positioning, trying to trust his teammates to put the ball right where it needs to be. Atomic, first touch, air dribble. There's a pinch out. High up for Chicago. Chicago, double tap, potentially no. It was too far away. AJ trying to bust that ball out of the half, but FaZe struggling to do so. Chicago again attacking the backboard. FaZe using up tons of boost. Finally, first killer able to air dribble it out.
Oh my. There's almost 5 players in the corner there on the G2 side. Everyone gets situated though. And AJ, can he be the hero here in game 2? Looking for a second touch. It doesn't come through, and a big clear from Chicago.
Final moments. First killer getting dunked by Atomic. It's going to pop up. Chance for JNaps to keep it in play. And we've got overtime. No chances wanting to be taken there. And this has been a neck and neck game. A chance for FaZe to tie up the series at 1 apiece.
Shots have dramatically dropped off for FaZe. Still 7 to their name here. It's not a bad outing for them, but through 5 minutes in this game versus the last, they were at 19. G2 certainly doing a better job on defense, denying just the shot before it even comes. Now he's got to go here. Dishes one up to JNaps as he doesn't get the touch. AJ had a tough read, but made it, and FaZe looking to get out.
Atomic high challenge, and that somehow skips towards G2's net. Chicago up. Hard bounce off the corner. AJ didn't connect. That leaves space for first killer, who's trying to power this through. Whoa. It's ricocheting in and out and all over. AJ not able to take the shot. Atomic jumps by it. Chicago has to come off the backboard to make that save, and will pop it over Sipical. AJ right back down to the G2 corner. A bump on the backboard. Infield pass, but first killer was too close.
That was a great setup from FaZe again. Just misexecuted. Now it's just straight at the net, so direct from Sipical. G2 all over it, and JNaps to clear it down the sideline.
First killer. Flip reset pass to Sipical. Sipical was very close in the infield. Perhaps a little bit too close. This bouncing down in a dangerous spot. Chicago will have to leave it. Infield pass. First killer has a bounce off the ceiling. AJ coming in. Pinching past one. Out of boost. What can he do with it? Oh, nothing. Chicago blasting it downfield. Sipical trying to control it. There's a challenge from JNaps.
I think FaZe might be one of the few teams that hit their mechanics so well that they're hitting it over their teammates when they try and pass it across the net. They hit the flip reset so hard. I don't think any team has that type of issue because the setups have been so good. They're so mechanically great. And right now, they got to make a tough save. AJ's not going to get there, and Atomic going to put it away in overtime.
And Chicago off a strong pinch, recovering quickly, and you see first killer and AJ both jumping for the same ball. And that's going to be all she wrote for FaZe in game 2. G2 winning it in overtime. And now ahead in the series 2-0. G2 again scoring more than 2. And like I've said multiple times, Curly, last series, G2 was struggling. They were able to shut down FaZe's offense at times. Now they're not only finding the scoring, but still bringing quality defensive stops. And like you had pointed out with FaZe, they've had some really good setups, but the positioning was not there. So they were in the right spot in general, but you know, like you said, a ball, 2 car links off of where you're predicting it. That's the difference between making the play and not. And we did see that the great flip reset pass that was right to the middle, typical, just too close. And if he's a little bit away, he's taking that shot and he's probably scoring.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely believe that for FaZe. It didn't happen. But I think for G2 in particular, this game was a little bit closer to, I think, what G2 wants to play, or how G2 wants to play, rather, against FaZe, especially what we saw from yesterday. It was a little bit more controlled. I think the pace of play went down just a little bit to a little bit more of a comfortable zone for G2. They were able to use Atomic as that point man downfield. They were able to use him as the outlet pass. You had JNaps having a lot of space off the backboard, and Chicago, who filled in the gaps across the board at the top of the leaderboard there. For G2, that was a much more, I think, comfortable game. It was still very close, obviously, in overtime, but a much more comfortable game where it wasn't as chaotic as I think where FaZe sort of thrives sometimes in that chaos.
And we saw a lot of chaos in game 1.
Yeah.
But still, G2 able to come out on top in that situation as well. We'll see if FaZe make any adjustments. Chicago battling in the corner and still battling against AJ. Doesn't want to let that ball out. Looks like he also got the midfield boost. And then the pinch off the ceiling, forcing first killer to get back.
Oh, my.
Oh, AJ got up quickly.
What a
and
shot.
that angle
Oh,
from First Killer. I think it surprised everyone on G2.
I mean, we knew he was going for the shot, but that is a tough angle to hit, especially knowing JNaps is there, coming full speed as well to the back post. Placement was perfect from First Killer.
JNaps was sitting in that. I think JNaps is probably, trying to cover the shot as much as possible, but also wants to cut out that pass off the near post, back out to the middle. However, First Killer just goes right for net and hits it, but an infield pass. JNaps, he'll double tap to score, but he'll also double tap to set up his teammates.
Boy, what a touch here from JNaps, and I think it came off AJ as well.
It did. You could tell the orange trail.
Yeah, little orange trail there, but still, that was all JNaps. I mean, that was where he was going. If it didn't hit AJ, it was going to hit JNaps back to Chicago, who has just been a rock there on offense. Always in the mix, ready to receive that pass.
Another long boom, typical. Will save it off to the side. Infield
it's
pass
beautiful. There it is again.
And Chicago there yet again. Typical. What is he supposed to do?
What is he supposed to do? When G2 is coming like this, and the passes that JNaps has been laying off have just been perfect. Chicago, like you said, there again to receive it and tap it in for G2.
Chicago has that killer instinct.
Oh, no.
G2 having that killer instinct as we take another look at how this kickoff goal happened.
I was just shocked that JNaps scored it. He was the one who went for kickoff, but he landed on some pads as well. And that little gap between the man going for the back corner boost and the man going for the ball lets JNaps creep through. With the boost, he's able to put it on target.
Yeah, perfect. Small boost pad, and that one is going to hit off the post crossbar, come back down.
What is happening
for FaZe? They get it right back off kickoff.
Oh, it went right through Atomic, right over his head. And First Killer, fortunate with those post bounce and crossbar to come right down in front of his face. Atomic's got to be kind of wondering how he didn't get that one. It went just over the top of his car.
Again, action off kickoff. JNaps, center ball. Atomic will play this safe, now turning. Low boost situation. Wave dashing to get some extra pace. First Killer, first touch was enough to bait in the defender. Now the block. Atomic will be back. Atomic not the best clear, giving AJ a window. AJ opting for the 50, but Chicago able to push that wide.
I think a lot of these balls that AJ popped up, he's looking for the 50. He knows his teammates will be there to clean up as well, or he'll just dunk it all the way through. And it also makes a G2 defender come up after him, and you want to pull those defenders out, as FaZe is doing. That's a good challenge by First. Typical. Can he get another touch? He can't, but he can't put it on target. AJ was there as well, but the defense holds strong, and FaZe can't find the target just yet.
Oh, and a nice play from JNaps. Gets the demo on the wall, stays up in the play, and clears it out. Now! Whoa! I don't even know what happened. It looked maybe a team bump, maybe a pool hit. And now Chicago has to dodge the bumps, and he does so to make the stop.
Oh my goodness. Defensively, I think G2 actually pitched it off each other. That's how that one escaped. Back and forth here. We talked about pace of play, James. It is racing up and down the field on both sides right now.
It certainly is. In Chicago, escaping with his life. It was a situation where he has to dodge the bump attempt to keep that ball out, and he does so. Now 2 go for FaZe. Chicago goes for the boost steal.
Whoa.
Shot won't be on target, and AJ will try to flick this out of harm's way. Nice first touch from Chicago. Flip reset ball towards net. Chicago with the finesse play.
Yes, sir. Look at how much space and time uncontested here. First Killer. That's a tough read. He had boost, but couldn't go in time. And once he got the flip reset, you knew exactly where he was going. FaZe can't do anything about it. And Chicago coming up big once again.
That was so clean, Corelli. That first touch, setting up the flip reset, waiting to flip at the perfect time. Clean from Chicago.
And a hat trick, 3 for 3. 3 goals, 3 shots. Chicago having another beastly game here. In the previous game, he was also at the top of the leaderboard, I think about 700 points. Contributing in all facets of the game right now. And G2, they are better for it. Really, everyone on G2 is performing at a different level. FaZe have got to figure it out.
That's a high bounce. Atomic supporting JNaps. Typical in the corner. Lovely touch around JNaps. Play slowed down. First killer up the wall, and JNaps will get it out. Chicago quickly taking the shot, but AJ right there to block it. Typical won't make contact, but it opens up the field for AJ. Air dribble. Pinch pass down, but again, Chicago able to control that pinch and get it out of the danger zone.
Another botched pass there from FaZe as well. That one was behind the man who was going to receive it. Here's first killer. Shirley beats the first man. Chicago jumps up and makes a great save, a great block to prevent FaZe. They've got 40 seconds left here in game 3 to make the difference.
Typical was so far out of rotation. Will get the partial block, but it's cleared right back downfield. Time running out for FaZe in game 3. Chicago, light tap. Typical not able to get that ball over to a teammate, but does flick that up to first killer. First killer and AJ
what a touch.
Getting tangled up, but it allowed for the shot by Typical, and with that shot not going in, that was pretty much does it. That secures the game for G2. Corelli, 3-0 now in favor of G2, coming from the lower bracket. We saw them get taken down by FaZe in a 7-game series. Is this the same G2 that we saw before?
Oh, well, it's clearly a little bit different, obviously, coming out now 3-0 against FaZe. And here's the worst part for FaZe. I don't think they're performing poorly at all. I think they're having a great series here again. As I said in the last one, there are some mistakes here and there, but you could say that about G2 as well. I think for FaZe, though, they've got to find a different level. And I think it does start with having a higher shot quality. There was especially like that last attempt there by Typical. That one's just got to go in. It's got to find a corner, especially with the setup that they've had. And defensively as well, you cannot allow, like you just saw on that last replay, someone like Chicago up in the air like that, getting a flip reset. I mean, he was in the air for like 5 seconds, and uncontested for FaZe is just unacceptable here. You can't allow a team like G2 to have that much space.
And that wasn't the first time we saw the ball out, in G2's half, barely past half field, where G2 had so much time and so much runway to work with. And you definitely don't want to be doing that, especially with how on point these players from G2 have been. Now going into game 4, this is match point for G2 to force the bracket reset. FaZe have to figure something out. And Corelli, you mentioned it, defensively, that seems to be the side of the ball that FaZe really needs to figure something out on.
Well, it's been the criticism all season long from FaZe, and good teams like G2 will expose it. And again, that game was closer to, I think, where G2 wants to be as far as control and pace of play. It never felt like G2 was too scrambled. Of course, FaZe, they'll do that to anyone. But they were very quick to recover, get back in rotation, then put on some great counters. JNaps in particular certainly was the power for them. And now Atomic here, he'll get one downfield again, just being that point man and outlet for G2, this time able to put it away.
And G2 has been finding so much success with that exact play. Just have Atomic go up and cherry pick. Trust that Chicago, trust that JNaps will be able to find the outlet pass. And more often than not, Chicago has been shutting down those plays in 2v1 situations. He's outnumbered, outgunned, outboosted, but it doesn't matter. Chicago finding a way. And another block from Chicago. Wow. This guy, he's too good at net.
I mean, it's, again, what do you do when all the players on the other side are just playing at such a different level right now? They're peaking. And for FaZe, they're only down by 1 here. Plenty of time left. This is one that's got to be dangerous, and it was. JNaps still able to make the save, and G2 back the other way.
Pinch pass to the middle. Typical on the dribble, flicking it up to first killer, who takes the first touch on the wall, going for the block, trying to pinch that out towards the middle. AJ attempting to work to magic plum Chicago almost into the touch. First killer, the chip shot.
There it is.
And first killer has been doing this all series, Corelli, where it's an awkward rebound. There's people in net. It's got to be a perfect shot, and he hits it.
Yeah, he is that guy on FaZe. If you want the off angle, kind of out of nowhere type of shot and goal, first killer. I mean, he's already done it earlier, a couple games ago. He'll find that crazy angle and put it away. That was so smart from him. And him being in the third man position, I really like for FaZe. It's sometimes because, again, just that utility of shot is just so important. Now AJ wants to lob one over Atomic. Not going to find it.
You're 100% right, Crowley. The first killer, one of the best players at getting an impactful first touch.
Yep.
That is so dangerous to the team that's trying to keep that ball out of their own net.
He creates his own chances, even the half chance. He adds a couple percentage points onto it when he's behind the ball, and FaZe certainly better for it. So they tie things up here in a crucial match. And now first killer again has an opportunity. That one almost slipped by Chicago. Just got a piece, and now a booming clear. Typical can't get back, and G2 take the lead.
Atomic sniffs out every chance. That one, and that play, that has to be heartbreaking. You saw it skip off of Chicago. That picked up the pace of the ball and allowed for a booming shot. And it bounces perfectly in front of Atomic's car. You cannot plan that.
It's an improviser's game, as the very smart Achieves always points out, and it certainly is. G2 doing the best of what they're given. And just past halftime here in Game 4. G2 wanting to close out a dominating first series. AJ might have something to say about it. Oh, AJ goes all the way over Chicago. Solo play, and we're tied up.
It was like watching the Globetrotters for a moment. AJ against the entire team, threatening the flip reset, catching it, and getting a flick top corner to tie it up. AJ, huge play. And now FaZe are right back in it.
Here it comes again. Oh, not the best first touch. Tough one to keep going here. Does get the dunk. Some left there on the table, though, for AJ as that one comes across. Typical has an opportunity here. Chicago denies. That one's going to get over AJ as G2 racing to go on counter.
AJ opting to pick up that corner boost. And now Typical trying to clear it out. Nice challenge from Typical. And JNAP's booming it right back. Chicago doesn't make contact, but it messes up AJ. AJ awkward on the wall. Trying to get this out to first killer, who will punch it to the side. Chicago up against first killer in the corner. JNAP's with the support. Chicago off the wall. Double tap. No, he doesn't have the boost. It is a nice pass, but Typical able to take the space. First killer looked like dove for a bump or a demo and didn't connect.
Sip didn't have boost either once he got to the ground. Very tough for him to make something happen from that position, even with the bump. Just no momentum now. First killer, can he drop it down? He did, but Atomic there to clean up. JNAPS takes out AJ. So only 2 here for FaZe now. First killer can't get after it, but G2 double commit. So JNAPS does a good job to slow things down. The first killer, dangerous position, little bit of boost. Looking for 2, it goes over 1. Typical to clean up. FaZe into the lead.
And that's the first killer effect, the first touch around the defender. You see Chicago having to stay grounded for so long. First killer almost finishing the job himself, but did enough for that rebound opportunity. FaZe Clan back in the lead in what seems like a very long time, Corelli, since that's been the case.
Yeah. Feels like they've always been playing from behind. And G2 kind of make it feel that way as well. Here comes JNAPS, a strike towards the net, tied up again.
And that didn't take long. G2 answer right back. Another double commit on the goal line by FaZe.
The cleanup crew from G2 has just been stellar. Just making the most of balls that pop out on the FaZe side. It's not just against FaZe. They've done that all season long here. But here in this series, Chicago and JNAPS as well, just been there every single time.
And that pinch will be high. Typical. Trying to go for a 50. Bailed out at the last moment. Typical getting full boost. Will now turn on it. The lob stopped by Atomic. AJ, light first touch. Perhaps trying to take that into an air dribble. Couldn't keep the momentum behind it. Atomic faking out the hit on the wall. Going for backboard. Gets the demo on first killer. JNAPS down to the middle. Chicago too far out of the play. Perhaps a counterattack chance. First killer flip reset pass, but that's stopped by Chicago, who goes for a bump, but Typical dodges it. Trying to keep the play alive. First killer will keep it up. AJ's shot not going to come. Overtime with FaZe's first life on the line.
And G2, they'll get the first advantage here off the kickoff. That one comes out to JNAPS, a very dangerous ball, but Typical all over it. as FaZe, they put up now 16 shots to the 7 of G2 in this game, again out shooting them by a wide margin. And still, G2 just been able to convert at a higher percentage as they almost have another. JNaps will be taken out. Maybe a counter here. Can AJ put this one on target? It's a bit high and wide. As first killer passes it across. Typical was there, but on low boost, can't receive. And G2 with a big clear.
You see Chicago hunting down Typical, but wasn't able to get that demo. There's a 50. JNaps to Chicago. Chicago high off the backboard. First killer with the tip up field. Typical being chased by Chicago. Chicago got a touch. JNaps with a defensive double tap off his own corner. And now the second effort. Pass up field. Lib reset from first killer. Catching it back down. No, doesn't catch it on the dribble. That'll be a little bit of space for G2, but you see Atomic struggling with no boost. Can't even find small pads. Now the pass across. AJ blocked by Atomic. Chicago also jumping for it. G2 starting to panic, but that pass too far out of Typical's reach. AJ jumps as well. Typical misses. Atomic, the shot blocked by first killer. Rebounded JNaps.
Oh my goodness.
The net, and that doesn't find its mark.
And players getting bumped out by FaZe. AJ all alone here, trying to go down the sideline. G2, though, that was their chance to take it. FaZe hanging on by a thread there as a couple blunders come out, but still, we're tied up, still sitting in overtime. And FaZe, maybe a second chance. Atomic, tough read. He does get a piece of it. And now Typical trying to make the play himself. FaZe waiting outside of the box to see what G2 gives them. AJ, tough ball to get back to. Pass is there, but Chicago cuts it out. First killer still trying to keep the attack on. G2 slowing things down, and it'll fizzle out for FaZe.
But there's a double commit from FaZe. Atomic looking for the center. Chicago high up to Atomic. Atomic going for the bump on first killer. Nice pop there from JNaps. Will stay on the play. Typical clearing it out. Second effort on the ball. Shut down by Chicago. First killer to the corner. Gets the demo. JNaps, tough spot.
Oh, great pass.
But the pass, it connects. The shot does not.
That was the one for AJ. So many of his shots have gone high. That was a beautiful pass. And yet another chance spoiled. Both sides, though, they've had this. They've had an opportunity to put this game away. And now JNaps and G2 trying to find a way out from their own side. It will be Chicago. Very slowly will meander towards the midfield line. Atomic with no boost still wants to look threatening. And now 3 minutes have passed in overtime. FaZe looking for more space on the G2 side, but JNaps will slow him down.
JNaps, solid play. The pinch, it's a race now. Chicago waiting on the other side of the net, and that shot won't find its mark. A good idea, but now AJ towards net. Everyone's out, but somehow it's blocked. It looked like the shot might have been wide, but you saw the opening.
Just wide, but it could have still been dangerous. Now Atomic with the demo. My goodness, that was a shot from JNaps. He squeaked it through. G2 gonna sweep them in their first series.
Unbelievable ending. JNaps in his... He's just deep in FaZe's corner, and he's in his element. JNaps, we saw him hit these crazy double taps, whether it's a pass or a shot. Like you said, I don't know how he's gotten this darn good. We've seen him play RLCS for a very long time, and he just keeps getting better and better.
It makes no sense. Why is he so good? He should be washed up. He should be retired, and yet here he is performing the highest I think he's ever performed. And G2, you look at the scoreline. Look at Chicago almost putting up 900 points, and G2 a 4-0 sweep over FaZe. And James, we were talking about the leads for FaZe. They only had 2 leads in this series. They had a very short-lived series lead here in Game 4, but they also had that first goal. The only other lead was the first goal of the series in Game 1. That was the only 2 times that FaZe led in this series at all.
So what you're telling me, Corelli, is that FaZe spent some time this series playing from behind.
Yeah.
And, frankly,
minutes.
I'm not surprised to hear that. That seemed like it was the case pretty much like you said from the get-go. G2, an unbelievable first series. FaZe, they're not out. It's a bracket reset. But with G2 playing as well as they are, sweeping FaZe in this first series, you wonder what Series 2 has in store. And, Corelli, we're going to find out, but it's going to have to wait until after the break.